Hey there, it's Justin Aquino here. Progress update on the Traveler on the 2 Parsec. So 2 Parsec is a use of world generator. So the world generator. So the world generator. Okay, so meme world generator comes with all the material we use to make it. So you've got the revisions, etc. The doc. Also the models are in a zip file. So the planet generating templates that we use, and you'll see it. So 2 parsec is a bunch of worlds, a bunch of systems within 2 parsecs, which is what the system what we call cauda, which is hard to HC0111. I don't know how to pronounce it. And then there is Barnard star. Depending on what database you're looking at, Barnard star is within 2 parsecs. And there is Alpha Centauri, which is a triple star system, which means three star systems in it. Because the planets are really far from each other. Those stars are kind of far from each other, but they're gravitationally locked to each other. So it's gonna be kind of full. So anyway, so along with the product, you had a bad day. Did you have a bad day? No. Give me five. Okay. Let me just finish this. Okay. So okay. So um, anyway, so you have so when you buy this, we will upload a product called 2 parsec, and in 2 parsec, you will have um, a sample systems. So the stars nearby, and their what you call this, and their relative position. We'll see if we can try to include the Blender files that put them into dimensions. But yeah, if you have Universe Sandbox and stuff, you can. It's best to use visualize where these are relative to Sol. So anyway, so this is the the thing that we're using to generate the worlds. Um, and the new product that will come out is a remaking of the Cepheus engine ship creation system. So Cepheus engine ship creation system has a lot of flaws. I detailed this in my blog post. Um, the ship combat has some major problems. Particularly, there's no movement phase. Um, I don't know why no one's complained about it, but since it's a free product, which is great, uh, why complain? But yeah, we're so what we made when we made 2 parsec is we want that it was a test to see if we made everything that you needed to play the game. The minimum to make a game, we were following Seth Skarkowski's kind of uh, um, idea. Uh, his ideas where there should be some hooks, there should be connections to the stories, etc. These are part of it, and of course there's the tools. So there's the reference. So Cecil Carson, whenever he makes something, he prepares for a game, he creates tables and stuff, and we want to make sure that we follow his guidelines. So what we did was we made 2 parsec. There's a space encounter there, and I was hesitant to produce it without at least some tools, that being a spreadsheet for ships, as well as a database of equipment. Um, so we have a database of equipment that we will be releasing along with it. So this is the master list. So the way this works is everything's in a spreadsheet so that you can create pivot tables of what you need. So everything has a category, everything has a TL. TLs here we use a mix of Cepheus engine and NEAMS TL. NEAMS TL is closer to to GURPS tech levels, but it's more, but GURPS hasn't fixed the problems with its tech level differentiation since it was published in 2004. And when you figure out the new information since to the 2010, so the GURPS TL has is about 20 years old, and a lot of things have changed in both our technology and expectations of technology um, since uh, call this, particularly how long a period of a tech level uh, tends to happen. So in you'll notice in NEEM there is like there are 50-year gaps to it, and with a very with a period where it's less than 50 years, which is the 1900s to the call this to the to the era of the First World War, basically the modern era, what we consider the modern era, um, and of course everything proceeds after that in 100-year increments. Um, because of the 100-year increments, we had this. There was several assumptions that needed to be corrected to scale tech levels properly. So meme, if you are not familiar, is in the Cepheus engine product category, but as others are looking for old school role playing, like um, old school role playing and um, call this and dark sci-fi, which is hostile, and then you've got old school role playing, which is Cepheus Deluxe under Omar. Uh, you Neem, where our products is focused on more of hard sci-fi and make and our meager capabilities regarding hard sci-fi. We're not. I'm a project manager. I'm not very sci-fi-ish. I'm like I have to work with a friend who's more literate than me in that, and etc. But it's for guys who are like, I really like the hard sci-fi that Scott Manley, the sci-fi, the what is emerging rocket technology and all that stuff covered in Anton Petrov's channel and Scott Manley's channel, and the stuff that uh, what you call this, the Blog Brothers, particularly Hank, talks about. A fan of Neil Stephenson's Terminal Shock and all, and Daniel Suarez's Delta V, like the guys who are fans of Andy Weir, those guys not who are not in the science industry or not in the technology industry, but really want to get into it, and that's their dreams. And like myself, I wanted to be a scientist, but I come from a third world country, and it doesn't make money. It even doesn't make money in developed world countries. So it's really for those guys who dream about being astronauts and scientists but can't. So this is it. This is like us because we cannot pursue it, and it's the closest thing we can. Um, so yeah, so Neem is that it's for this, and it's for like people who are trying to do hard sci-fi and failing and trying again. So it's really for those guys who have the patience, and who don't mind being wrong and putting themselves out there. So it's really not. It's for that kind of person who wants to make mistakes getting into science, and it's okay. So that's Neem. So that's again Neem mnemonics, Mnemosyne, the muse of memory, of thinking on and being old and having spotty memory and um, weakening mental processing power, etc. So it's really for that. It's for those of us who are in their who are not in the position to be really good at it, but still want to be. So anyway, these are the tech levels, and because of this complicated tech levels, I decided to make sure that all the tech levels are embedded into all the notes. So you'll notice like there'll be I'm using spreadsheets to automate like having to put this, because sometimes I make a mistake and it means I'd have to rewrite everything. So you'll always have the tech level with the item. And certain things we had to create, like what you call this, we had to be specific, like this has to be separate, no, we this has to be bundled up. Example, like software has to be simplified because it's just too much bookkeeping. So we just make sure that um, everything is assumed to be built in. So like if I anything new in addition should be really separate. Okay. So yeah, one of the major breakthroughs is using Learn Google Spreadsheets. I don't know that's the name of the YouTube channel, and he taught how to set up this uh, drop down system. I posted it in my blog. I put my notes, the YouTube channel where I learned it from, and all these other things. So you'll find a lot of JavaScript thing that I did and some of my OJTs did, and I don't really have the mastery for this. I'm trying to fix a family business and stuff, so I really don't have the capability to mentally fix all of this. Um, so what I do is I put a lot of commenting. I wish I could do commenting on spreadsheets, but I can't. Just to teach myself stuff. So these will all be coming with the product. By the time you will have a draft version of this, a working draft version of this, um, with 2 Parsec. Those who already bought it, you're in for a treat because you this will all be added to this product using the features there. I will send an email alert that 2 Parsec will be added, and then 2 Parsec will be further polished, and it will be made into a standalone. One of the systems will be what you call this, pay what you want, but the standalone will also be paid. So those who already bought this at $10, you'll be surprised by the time you come back that it will be $13 because we're gonna be adding that. So it's gonna be a second spreadsheet tied to this product. So note this is Google Sheets requires internet. I don't know if you can do it offline because it uses it uses JavaScript. So what will happen is you will make ships via this, and we'll have all the information exported to another column which you can cut and paste, and then you'll have all the ships. So this is the ships in Cepheus stats with the old spreadsheet that I made. So the problem with this one is that you have to preserve this. You have to preserve this. So you have to cut and paste this and move them around. If you're gonna do like software, you have to you have to move these rows around. The big difference here now is that if I want to deal with hulls, I want to deal with armaments, the script starts pulling out this, giving the options here. And that's the way the script here works is that, okay, let me show. So they all check. So I'm using an and function for the if state, the if s, and then it says, okay, if that's the case, use this, use this, use that. And then of course there are notes like how each quantity affects. Like, so right now, so before, if I wanted to do hull in my old system, I'd have to copy paste this into the right place. Now, if I wanted to do hull like a new ship, I just hull and enclose it. Of course, like this, once I copy paste this and it moves it to this other column, that's when you sum it and you check if there is sufficient space and budget for it. So yeah, this has some radical changes because it goes into a little bit more detail, like sealed cargo, unsealed cargo, pressure vessels. So fuel is pressure vessels. There are those balls of carbon fiber that's meant to hold large volumes of oxygen and fuel. So yeah. Uh, so having created a spreadsheet for this, the person who buys it can start making their own options, can start making their own stuff. I'll clean this up by the time it's launched. Don't worry. And of course, there's a main document. So the reaction drive easy fix. This is a document where it's supposed you can build uh, you can build the ship using Cepheus. I realize, okay, fuck that. Make it easier. So, uh, I mean, make it easier. Like, make a ship, make it all there. Like, let the person just go. Okay, fuck it. We're not gonna use that system anymore. We're just gonna use this ship. And then, like, you bought your favorite ship from Moontoad Publishing, those awesome Ian Stead ships, and then you just okay. I wanna use Neem's reaction drive stats. Okay, let's just use it that. Let's use like the closest thing. Let's create it over here in just a few minutes, and that's pretty much it. So the space combat here is designed like my Neem variant uh, space combat. It's going to be almost narratively meaning as though I'm talking. You don't. It should not feel like you're like stop, roll. It should be talk, roll, resolve the roll, as little as few rolls as possible between narratives. So it should be most narratively elegant. You'll notice that one of the main weaknesses of the the in the writing, because it was free and it was rushed. It seems rushed because there's huge sections that are missing, um, but it's free. Is that there's a lack of examples, and you want examples because like one thing is to say the system, another thing is to use it. So after I'm finished with this, so this is simultaneous with this, um, because here I have to make sure that the rules work properly, and then I write it. Note that this is like I wrote this first, and I did this, and I wrote this back. I use this as a counter checking system, so it's I can't help it. It's really the only way you can check. You have to like write down the math and then do the math and then see, oh shoot, that did not come out the way I thought it would, and then like do it. So that's one of the ways we did things. Like you'll notice like uh, the rules was changed because of this. Having made a spreadsheet or a software for the rules that we wrote, it allows us to counter check it to see if it's like that's not what it allows us to check if it makes sense or not. So that's one of the things that's funny about it. um yeah, so yeah, this is an update. I'm It's December 30. I am expecting me and Nico will be done at mid-January, um, with all this. Nico will be the one proofing my writing, so we alternate. I proof his, he proofs mine. um, Call this, and then of course my favorite thing after this is that once this draft is finished, Nico and I can start modeling kit bash ships using the many cheap, really good value tools made by Daniel Grove, made by the many kit bash kits you can find free online, as well as the ship generation. So there's a lot of Blender tools that will allow us to build ships, underground space stations, habitat modules, spin grab habitat modules, with the tennis racket effect factored in the way they designed it. So there's counterweights and ion drives stabilizing it, um, stabilizing its drift. So we'll have that all in the products. Um, to be transparent, um, once we make the text, we will we are looking forward, me and Nico are looking forward doing it very visually, because one of the things I want out of this is that someone who buys our products and start posting the models, the kit bash kits, the models they make, or the customizations on the models. So because note that we are going to release the Blender models of it. Of course, they will be already merged. They'll be joined in Blender. Joined meaning all the parts are there, because I mean, that way you'd be encouraged to buy Daniel Grove or the various kit bash kits that we bought from, um, to support those artists. Um, so yeah, so uh, a long way to getting to make your own ships is to make everything from scratch, to fix a lot of stuff. It's not making from scratch thanks to the open source nature of Cephas Engine, but to build on that, fix it, and allow us to make 3D models of all these cool ships that we want, and to see a community where you're all these guys are able to make scenes of the um, of their Cephas Engine game. Um, so Oliver Ruth, Oliver Roth's Blender video that he made, inspired by the Expanse. This is like one of the key things that we want people to be able to make with our products. Like, it's not going to be as like polished as this, because like the models are pretty polished, but enough that the enough that if you buy Daniel Grove's other add-on stuff, you could quickly make this in a short evening for your game. Um, call this. So these are the inspirations that one day, a bunch of gamers made their game, ran their game, and then a lot of other people will say, "Hey, this is accessible. I can do this." They simplified it. They wrote it down, and they made a spreadsheet so that if you don't really understand how it works, you can just see the samples made and just build off of that. We want that. We want that to be what people will get out of our system. Uh, we want to see a lot of people able to make stuff that we make, because we gave them the tools that we created to help us make it, and then just fill the feeds with the tools that they made, fill the feeds with the outputs that they made, and yeah, really share ideas like, oh yeah, I didn't think that you could do this with a space elevator, or I didn't think that, yeah, that there would be a habitat this big, and it would be all this. Get into that, keep your mind working, keep yourself learning. um, you know um, call this, if you can't get into, we'll be in the generation where, um, uh, the generation before, um, being an astronaut, being a spacer, um, would be that of our kids and or grandkids, and we won't reach that age, but we'll probably be able to enjoy like playing or imagining or thinking through it, uh, as that technology emerges, and be part of it in some way in this meager attempt. uh, but yeah, anyway, so this is Justin Aquino, and like this is how I play uh, Cephas Engine and Traveler, and this is the products we make. Hope you guys like it. I hope you have a good new year, and call this, good luck and have fun with your games.